Look at that. I got the motor in, and I did try to start it off camera, hoping that it would go well, but it didn't. Let me show you what's happening here. This is Josh, by the way. Hey Josh. This is a Patreon who came by to say hello and help out today.
Let's go.
So, show them what happens here when we start this. Can you do that?
Yep, if it'll do it again.
Okay, that's it. So that's what I've been dealing with. It starts up and then immediately shuts off like that. Let's do one more time. Did you hear that? So what would your guess be? What would you think is the issue there? We've had all kinds of possibilities. Sensor, computer, fuel, spark. Not the spark being completely gone, but just maybe the distributor being off or something. But then Josh came up with a little trick. Tell him what we're gonna do.
Just pour a little gas down the throttle body. It's the old school way. And if it lights off, then you know you got a fuel issue.
All right, so check this out. He's gonna pour a little bit in there. We have fire extinguisher handy just in case. All right, we good to go?
Good to go.
Check this out. It's gonna work. It's got to. We're already doing a video on it. It's not starting right off the bat like whenever you don't put gas in it.
Right.
Why would that be?
Plugs are probably wet. It's like slightly flooded.
All of this cranking power brought to you by Optima batteries. Please, oh, there you go, you got it. Look at that. He's a professional, I just work here. There it is. Okay, turn the key.
That's how it came on.
So that time it worked. See, when we didn't have it filming, it wasn't working. Check this out. Josh and I just got a Facebook marketplace. We just have a habit. So we went and picked this sucker up for our next BleepinJeep versus challenge. What do you think about that? What year did he say it was?
She's a 91.
91 Jeep YJ.
She's mint.
And the wife is gonna kill me though, because last night I went to buy one Grand Cherokee. I don't even remember what year this was, but I went to go buy this thing right here, and somehow I ended up with a twofer. But as my neighbor Dave said, you can't pass up a twofer. So I've got two Grand Cherokees now. We still have the black YJ, which I think on the next challenge I'm gonna have to weld everything, like weld the rear of anything that's not locked. And then the little old Sammy's still there. So I got rid of I sold the Cherokee. So I've got two Grand Cherokees, two YJs, the Samurai, and I think we're gonna use Josh's Jeep right there. Would your wife approve?
She'd be skeptical. She'd get over it in a few years.
Alright, we'll have to talk her into it. So while we were off getting that other Jeep, don't tell the wife, Hope went and got a new fuel pump for this thing. So we're gonna put that in and see if we can get this thing started. You cool with that?
I'm good.
Will you help me?
Let's do it. Oh.
Do you have to be home for dinner?
Nah.
If you look right there, I think that is the foot of the pump. So maybe that could have had some issue. This thing fell off inside the tank somehow. Josh, what did I tell you about smoking? Look at the tiny little float on this thing. Josh just put this one on. This was the factory one, but the reason I did that is because the way I made this fuel cell, it's got a sump pump, and so there's not enough room for this thing to be moving around, because it basically sits down in a little like 6x6 bottom of the fuel tank. So if you ever were to run out of fuel, the last drop of fuel is going to be down here at the bottom, no matter how low you get. So what this does is at the very end, it doesn't work real well, but like at the last half gallon, it'll say, oh, out of fuel. And at least you have a little bit to get back wherever you're going. This one's like different than the other one though. Okay, we kind of figured it out. We bent that sucker so that when it's empty, it'll be like that full. The only issue is it's not real heavy, but our thought is once you're pounding around on the trail, it'll kind of work its way down. What do you think?
Go to work.
Is that good enough for government work?
It's good enough for government work. Once you get a little gas in there and it lubricates it, it'll fall easier.
Alright guys, cross your fingers, because if this doesn't work, we're back to square one. You want to do the honors? See if we can prime it first. Might have to prime it a few times. I'm not hearing anything. No. This is not good. We have an issue.
Test light time.
Josh, I think I might have found the issue. So, the last time we rode in this, I rolled it over on its right side. I think the fuel tank might have shifted and pinched the cord that's going to the fuel pump. Because I can't even get it out of 1, 2. Yeah. Oh, it's coming. Okay, cross your fingers, round 2. What is wrong with you? We're out of luck. It's your turn to guess. Alright, I'm giving up. Let's call Jeep Doc and see if he's got any advice for us. Wake up, Jeep Doc. Rick!
Hello.
What are you up to?
Drink coffee.
A bright and early morning at this fine hour of 3 p.m.
3 o'clock for me. That's morning. What's up?
So I got a little issue I was hoping you could help me with here.
Okay.
We can't get this Jeep started, and then it just dies. So we've been chasing fuel pump issues, we've been chasing relay issues, we've been chasing alternator issues, and can't seem to find anything wrong with this stupid Jeep.
It only runs for a second. But if you turn the key a little bit and wiggle it, it will stay running, because it's probably the ignition switch.
Ignition switch? I hadn't thought of that. So the starter's going to keep starting though if I hold it all the way forward.
Not if you hold it in a certain position, because a lot of those ignition switches, they get wore out after time, especially with yours being sitting outside for so long.
Yeah.
Turn it to run, and then you do the crank position, run it in the crank position, and when you pull it back just slightly, you'll be able to wiggle it, and it should stay running if the ignition switch is bad.
Thank you for your advice.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Alright, you said just to hold it forward, I guess?
Yeah.
The whole freaking time. It's just purring like a kid. As soon as I let off the key, it dies. It's like... Ah. It's just right there.
That ignition switch.
Ah. So Rick was right. We changed the fuel pump for nothing. We changed a bunch of sensors for nothing. Relays for nothing. We checked out the wires for nothing. But the Jeep Doc got it. So I just turned the key, and then I just barely backed it off until the starter disengaged and it just stayed running. But then when you release it, so I think I just need a little bungee cord to just hold the key forward. What do you think?
That might work.
Parts store run again. Look who's here. It's a new day. Kyle's come to help, and Hope was kind enough to go to the parts store once again and get the piece that we need for the ignition switch. So now all we have to do, put the ignition switch in, attach the shifters for the transfer case, attach the drive shafts, put some sort of fluid in it so it doesn't overheat, and then I think we'll be able to drive it out of here.
We'll be close.
You gonna help me with that?
Definitely.
All right.
We'll run some leaves over.
There was a safety screw holding that old ignition switch in, and I drilled it out, but I kind of screwed up the end there when I did so I had to drill and tap that. So hopefully that will work, and I've got a little tiny screw that should hold it in place there. Alright, Kyle, I'm gonna connect the battery.
Alright.
And you give her a test.
Oh, it's working. Ready to crank?
Let's see if it stays working. What? It's running! I don't have any fluid in there, so I can't keep it running too long. But yeah,
End up like the last one.
it's looking good. It'll be like 3 inches lower.
Did they change that one?
1, 2, go. Alright, we are at the point where it's almost time to go. I'm pretty excited about this because I've always wanted to try Evans coolant. It's basically a waterless coolant, and I've never got the opportunity to, but now's the time. I'm going to actually show you guys in a video in the future on how to install this, the whole process. But for now, we're just going to get this in there and get it started. But yeah, so the waterless coolant, the only thing about it is that you want there to be less than 3% water in the system. So what you need to do is get all the water out. And for that, they make a prep fluid. So since this engine really probably doesn't have any water in it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and run the prep fluid just in case there's some remaining, like in the heater core or something like that. So you run the prep fluid first, that kind of dissipates all the water, and then we're gonna drain that out after we get it up to operating temperature and everything gets mixed, and then we're gonna put the regular waterless coolant in there. And then we should be done. And there's a little test that you can do. I'll show you that in the full video coming up. And we're going to convert the Scorpion and the Comanche over to Evans. But there's a little test you can do with this test instrument, basically, that tells you exactly how much water is in a material. So that's pretty interesting. And we'll be able to test at the end if we were successful in getting out 100% of the water. So prep fluid first. This little guy is super fun to have too. It's you can get it at any auto parts store. It's got a little adapter here. It goes right in there, and that way you can put this on here, and you won't ever spill a drop of fluid. As you let the engine warm up, it just kind of fills up and then flushes back down. It says that it's got dye. I wonder what color it is. All right, taking bets. It's clear. Maybe it changes color when it hits water or something. I don't know. Alright, this thing has literally sat outside in the woods for 2 years. But I've got a brand new fresh yellow top Optima. Once we get that in there, we'll be able to start it. And my goal is to take it outside and wash the heck out of this thing.
Live action.
Are you ready for this? 2 years in the making. What do you guys think? Is it gonna go? Is it gonna fall apart? Kyle, did you do? Oh, I gotta put it in gear. Did you do a good job on that? Do the brakes work?
Somewhat.
I think the brakes need a little work.
Good from here.
We gotta let it burn off some of that paint and crap that was on the. Oh man, that stinks.
Really burn it off.
That's not good. Why is it doing that? Alright guys, almost total success. There's still a bit of a misfire I need to take care of. I want to also get it cleaned up and then take it on a test drive before we go to EJS here in a couple weeks in April. There's also the second part of this, which is going to be putting 1 tons in rear steer, so stay tuned for the next episode of the Scorpion Crawler 2.0.